Breaking right now, massive explosion rocks Tehran during huge Al-Quds Day rally. Thousands running in panic, one woman killed by shrapnel. Is this the U.S.-Israel strike they've been warning about? War Day 14 just got deadlier. Welcome to Power Clash Report. We are interrupting our scheduled coverage because developments are unfolding in real time that could change the trajectory of this entire conflict. What we are witnessing is not just an isolated incident. It is a potential escalation point in a conflict that has already drawn in multiple nations, disrupted global markets, and put millions of civilians at risk. We are monitoring verified reports, official statements, and open-source intelligence to bring you clarity in a moment of chaos. Stay with us. We will separate fact from speculation, context from confusion, and signal from noise. Let us begin with what is confirmed. On March 14, 2026, during a large-scale Al-Quds Day rally in Tehran, an explosion occurred near the main gathering area. Iranian state media and emergency services have confirmed at least one fatality, a woman killed by shrapnel, and multiple injuries. Footage circulating on social media shows crowds dispersing in panic, smoke rising above the rally route, and emergency vehicles responding to the scene. Iranian authorities have described the incident as a terrorist act and have launched an investigation. However, as of this moment, no group has claimed responsibility and no official source has attributed the explosion to a specific actor, whether state or non-state. This timing is critical. Al-Quds Day is an annual event established after the 1979 Iranian Revolution, typically held on the last Friday of Ramadan. It is a day of pro-Palestinian demonstrations across Iran and in other parts of the Muslim world. In 2026, with regional tensions at a multi-year high, the rally carried added symbolic weight. Iranian officials framed this year's event as a show of solidarity with Gaza and a demonstration of national unity against external threats. An attack on such a gathering, therefore, is not just a security incident. It is a political statement, a psychological operation, and a potential trigger for escalation. Now, let us examine the claim that this could be a U.S.-Israeli strike. This speculation has spread rapidly across social media and some partisan media outlets. The logic behind the claim is understandable. The U.S. and Israel have conducted multiple strikes on Iranian territory in recent weeks, targeting military infrastructure, missile facilities, and energy depots. Iranian officials have repeatedly warned of retaliation and vowed that no place is safe. In this context, an explosion during a high-profile political rally could be interpreted as a continuation of that campaign. However, interpretation is not confirmation. As of now, neither the U.S. Department of Defense, U.S. Central Command, nor the Israel Defense Forces has issued any statement claiming responsibility for or commenting on the Tehran explosion. Reputable international news agencies have not reported any such attribution. In the absence of official confirmation, this claim remains speculative. Let us talk about the tactical and strategic dimensions. If this explosion was indeed a targeted strike, what would that signal? First, it would represent a significant escalation in targeting methodology. Previous strikes have focused on military and dual-use infrastructure. Targeting a public political rally, even one with security presence, crosses a threshold into attacks on civilian gatherings. This carries profound legal, ethical, and strategic implications. International humanitarian law requires distinction between combatants and civilians. Deliberately targeting a civilian gathering would violate these principles and could trigger widespread condemnation, even from allies. Second, it would signal a shift towards psychological warfare. The goal would not just be to degrade capability, but to sow fear, undermine morale, and demonstrate reach. Third, it would risk rapid escalation. Iran has vowed retaliation for previous strikes. An attack on a symbolic domestic event could compel a response that is both immediate and severe, potentially drawing in regional proxies and triggering a wider conflict. But let us also consider alternative explanations. Explosions in crowded areas can have multiple causes: accidental detonation of materials, internal sabotage by opposition groups, a false flag operation designed to provoke escalation, or even a tragic accident unrelated to the conflict. Iranian domestic politics are complex, with various factions and opposition groups operating both inside and outside the country. An attack could be intended to discredit the government, provoke a crackdown, or shift public attention. Without verified forensic evidence, intelligence intercepts, or credible claims of responsibility, We cannot definitively attribute the cause. This uncertainty is itself a weapon in modern conflict. It creates confusion, delays response, and allows multiple narratives to compete for dominance. Now, let us address the human dimension. Behind every headline about explosions and casualties are real people. The woman killed by shrapnel had a name, a family, a story. The injured are receiving medical care, some in critical condition. The thousands who ran in panic experienced trauma that may last long after the physical wounds heal. In moments like these, it is essential to remember that geopolitical analysis is not an abstract exercise. It is about understanding the forces that shape human suffering and security. At Power Clash Report, we commit to covering the strategy without losing sight of the stakes. We will verify before we amplify, and we will humanize before we politicize. There is also the information warfare dimension. In the digital age, the first narrative to spread often becomes the dominant one, regardless of accuracy. The claim that this is a U.S.-Israeli strike may serve multiple purposes for different actors. For hardliners in Tehran, it could justify a severe retaliatory response. For partisan media elsewhere, it could fuel anti-American or anti-Israeli sentiment. For malicious actors, it could be an opportunity to sow discord and erode trust in institutions. As consumers of information, our responsibility is to seek verification, consult credible sources, and resist the urge to share unconfirmed reports. This is not about censorship, it is about clarity. We will update this coverage as verified information emerges. Let us examine the official response or lack thereof. Iranian authorities have condemned the explosion as terrorism and promised a thorough investigation. They have called for international condemnation and have hinted at retaliation. The United States and Israel have not commented directly on this specific incident, though both have reiterated their commitment to defending their interests and allies in the region. This silence could be strategic, avoiding escalation, awaiting intelligence, or preparing a response. In crisis diplomacy, what is not said can be as important as what is said. The coming hours will be critical in determining whether this incident becomes a contained security event or a catalyst for wider conflict. What about the regional implications? An attack on Iranian soil during a symbolic rally could activate proxy networks across the region. Hezbollah in Lebanon, Shia militias in Iraq, Houthi forces in Yemen. These groups have coordinated with Iran in the past and could view this as a call to action. If they respond with attacks on U.S. or allied targets, the conflict could expand rapidly. Conversely, if Iran chooses restraint, it could signal a desire to avoid all-out war, at least for now. The choices made in Tehran, Washington, Tel Aviv, and other capitals in the next 24-48 hours will shape the trajectory of this crisis. Now, let us consider the global stakes. The Middle East is a linchpin of global energy security, trade routes, and diplomatic alliances. Any escalation that draws in major powers risks disrupting oil supplies, spiking prices, and triggering economic instability worldwide. It could also reshape alliance structures as nations reassess their commitments and partnerships. For citizens far from the region, the impacts may seem distant, but they are real. Higher fuel costs, market volatility, and the ever-present risk of a conflict that could draw in nuclear-armed states. This is why responsible reporting matters. We must provide context without sensationalism, urgency without alarm, and analysis without agenda. So what happens next? There are several possible scenarios. In the most contained, Iranian investigations conclude the explosion was caused by an internal actor or accident, and the incident does not trigger wider retaliation. In a more escalatory scenario, Iran attributes the attack to the U.S. or Israel and launches missile or drone strikes in response, triggering a cycle of action and reaction. In a diplomatic scenario, third-party mediators intervene to de-escalate, using this incident as a catalyst for renewed dialogue. The outcome depends on intelligence assessments, political calculations, and the fragile mechanisms of crisis communication. What can you do as an informed citizen? First, stay informed through credible sources. Follow official statements from governments, international organizations, and reputable news agencies. Be skeptical of viral claims that lack verification. Second, understand the broader context. This is not an isolated event. It is part of a complex, multi-layered conflict with deep historical roots and global ramifications. Third, Engage constructively. Share verified information. Support humanitarian efforts for those affected by violence. Advocate for policies that prioritize diplomacy and civilian protection. At Power Clash Report, we believe that knowledge is power. Understanding geopolitical events helps us make better decisions, protect our families, and contribute to a more stable world. Before we conclude, let us recap the key points. An explosion occurred during an Al-Quds Day rally in Tehran, causing at least one fatality and multiple injuries. Iranian authorities have labeled it a terrorist act and launched an investigation. Speculation about U.S.-Israeli involvement is widespread but unconfirmed by official sources. The timing, location, and symbolism of the incident carry significant strategic and psychological weight. The human cost is real and must be centered in any analysis. The path forward depends on verification, restraint, and responsible communication from all parties. The choice before the world's leaders is stark. They can allow fear and speculation to drive policy, risking a spiral of escalation. Or they can rely on intelligence, verification, and strategic patience to manage crises without surrendering to panic. History will judge this moment not by the headlines that spread fastest, but by the wisdom with which they were assessed. As citizens of an interconnected world, we have both the right and the responsibility to demand clarity over chaos, evidence over emotion, and truth over virality. If this analysis provided value, please like this video, subscribe to Power Clash Report, and share it with someone who needs to understand these developments. Turn on notifications so you do not miss our updates as this story evolves. In the description below, you will find links to official sources, fact-checking resources, and further reading on this developing situation. We are committed to bringing you signal in a world of noise. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay safe. And remember, in a world of increasing uncertainty, clarity is the most valuable asset we have.